Here we have a 22-inch Weedeater lawnmower. The backstory with this one is during 2020, during COVID time, we were basically, as a hobby, just finding lawnmowers left for dead. Kind of just giving them a little TLC and then getting rid of them for a few bucks, you know, kind of a fun hobby. Some we kept, some we used. So this one here was a replacement to a predecessor that I had bent the crank on it by hitting a tree root after having that one for free for about 5 years. This Weedeater replaced that one. This one's actually older than the previous one, and I forget the date code on this, but this one always kind of ran a little hot, and despite our best effort of giving it TLC, typically it's used as a trim mower. If you use it to cut the entire lawn, which this is a property that you can use a push mower on, we do have a riding mower as well. But if you do use this for the entire lawn, it tends to overheat at some point. We just ran it to heat up the oil, first start for the season. We're not quite ready to cut the lawn here yet. Where we are, the lawns are still brown. Unfortunately, we're late to the game in this climate where we live. But so the oil's heated up, but even when we were running it, while it ran and sounded smooth, wasn't vibrating or anything like that, it just gets so darn hot. So we're gonna change the oil today. We're gonna sharpen the blade. We're gonna clean the plug. And what we're also going to do, if you notice the top of the mower where the pull string is, that quote unquote cap, if you will, is not the original. The original one that we popped off last year because we noticed we were having an issue with it. We have a couple of spares. So we have another one that's in really good shape because, here we go. This one actually came, I believe, from its predecessor, which was another Weedeater, of course. And this one here came from a mower that we worked on a few years ago. We were just going to mask this one up and use some spray paint, but because of the parts bin, we had the other one that's in phenomenal shape, so we're just gonna do that swap as well while we're at it. So let's get going. So what I'm gonna attempt to do is siphon this oil, the hand siphon pump, and that's actually not hot. The plug itself probably is, but I'm going to attempt to siphon the hand pump. If you guys follow the channel, we tuned up Eddie's Honda, his HR 215, which is actually to the left on the floor of the camera. I was attempting to do that, and it was a very cold day. Even despite running it, the rubber on the tube here was just, I just couldn't get it to cooperate. So we ended up doing it the old fashioned way and tilting the lawnmower on its side, which is not my favorite approach, but sometimes you just gotta do it. So if you've ever used one of these, once you get them going, they work really well. It's just sometimes it's just tough to get going. You know how hot that oil is. It's definitely warm. Actually, you know what I should have done? I should check the oil level too. Usually after I do the first oil change, I always recommend after your first cut. Actually, this is right up to this is actually, it's not burning oil, it's right up to the level, which is good. I always recommend after the first cut, if you tuned your lawnmower and everything, is to recheck the oil again. It's a good thing to do. And then I also recommend with a mower that's this old, especially, like once a month or so, just checking the oil, just to make sure you're not burning it. Now this tube is like rock hard stiff. Temperature in this garage is probably in the 50s. It's in the 40s outside. Might be a little warmer in here because it's heat on. But the day I was doing this with the Honda, it was just so darn cold. So usually what happens is that warm oil hits this thing and it really loosens it up. So I'm gonna start the pump. Sometimes this is a forgiving process, sometimes it's not. See? They should almost make an apparatus that allows you to put that in there. I actually see steam coming out of it. I saw a little steam coming out of the crankcase. Yeah, see that? Yeah, see it's getting soft now.
Bolts are hot.
Yeah. We were just talking about before we started the camera is, you know, each year we work on this thing and we say we don't know if it's going to be the last time because it's just at some point it's just going to be done. I think the previous owners who had this didn't take good care of it. Maybe they ran it with low oil on it for a lot of time or something.
Any farther than the Honda.
Yeah, 'cause that was a cold day. I think that was one of the problem. I'm starting to feel it a little bit. Wonder something here will make my life a little easier. See how this totally changes. So sometimes these filler necks come right off. This one's not coming off that easy. So if I could get further into the crank, or the case I should say, crank. Should have my gloves on. This is just not cooperating. Some days it does, some days it does not.
typically, you know it gets started when you start to feel resistance in the pump, and I haven't really felt that yet. As I say that, I can hear it spraying. I got it. There it goes. You can feel the resistance in the pump. Don't push this off.
Try not to.
I think you're standing right in front of the camera.
Oops.
Yeah, that top looks much better. And well, we could have quickly masked off the other one and taped it and painted it. When we had a spare part of the other exact same thing that actually went to the same lawnmower, might as well just use it. I think the other one, it was like the end of the season, kind of like a hot swap situation. Alright, I think what I'm gonna do is really, normally I have my gloves on for this. And for whatever reason I didn't put them on. So we're doing it without gloves because we got this far into it. Yeah, there's still a lot of oil in there. So this has not been going well. So what we're gonna do is we pulled the filler neck out. And while he's working on that, which you might not be able to see on camera, I'm looking for, I don't know where you keep the gloves.
Right in the top drawer of that white thing.
Okay. I feel better with my rubber gloves on.
Turn off the oil, get the filling net back on.
This is way better. Way smarter. For those engineers or smart people out there, does it make more sense to hold the pump above what I'm trying to do or beneath it? Now I know when you're trying to get stuff to flow, it's easier to get it to flow downhill, of course. But that doesn't seem to work. So when I tend to get it to go, I tend to be down here somewhere.
Carburetor's a little dirty.
Yeah, that's the thing with these types of lawnmowers. This design, because it's like the way the carburetor sits on top of the
Just with some like carb cleaner or something and get
Yeah.
a towel
absolutely.
for now.
Here it comes. Now it's really coming. I can feel the warm oil in the pump.
Here, too.
Yeah. So I'm off camera, but I am literally sitting on the ground here with the pump as low to the ground really as I can, and it's just flowing like crazy as I pump. I'm gonna remove the plug.
Yeah.
So he's gonna remove the plug now and inspect it. Now typically, we are kind of, I don't wanna say cheap, but I'll say thrifty, and we tend to, unless the plug looks really bad, we tend to just throw it in some gasoline, let it soak, and then throw it back in.
One thing that we could do, go back to that used tool store and get a nice long socket for that.
Yeah,
So you could keep getting the.
yeah.
Happy to use whatever tool this is. Well, been using it, should say.
Alright, so I think we might be okay. And what's nice is the softer this gets, the further you can put it down in the case, the crankcase. And the only thing you have to be careful is, I did this on the mower one time, a Honda, and there was, when I was trying to pull it out, there was some resistance, and I nearly had a panic attack because I thought I got stuck.
It's a little toasty.
Is it? Let's see.
It's not. Oh, I focus. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Probably should drop in some. Maybe let it cool down. Drop in some gas, maybe.
Yeah. So, you know, we should absolutely do that. So
It's all-
so the thing with that is, do you happen to have any newer plugs? Because it could be time to throw a new plug in this, based on what I see there.
I think I might have a new
Okay.
plug, or at least the one that's in better condition.
Okay, so this thing, if the camera can pick up the dipstick, it is bone dry. It did its job. Awesome. So I hate having to tip these things on its size, the pain. Sometimes it's a pain to get that hand pump going, which you just saw. But really, once that tube heated up, and I was able to get it further down into the crankcase, and then I really, like I said, I ultimately, I haven't like mastered using this, but seeing this time, the lower to the floor I got the pump, as I was pumping, it really started to go.
You actually have a brand new one.
Is that the same plug though?
Yeah, it looks very.
Yeah, let me take a look at that in a second, if that's the case, because that other plug looks toasty. Alright, so I'm just taking the pump, I have an oil pan here I use for car oil changes, I'm just laying the pump and its hoses in that tray. And yes, I use an empty Royal Purple, and I can feel the oil in there. Alright, so close this up, and we will refill. Again, we'll take a look at the level here. Yeah, it's barely registering on the dipstick, and I have this in all the way. You hoping the viewers will tell you?
Yeah, no, the used one, a little toasty. Just a little bit, probably because of how hot it gets.
Yeah.
On the inside, it's a little rusty too. New
Yeah.
one.
One,
Look pretty similar.
one of the many viewers who are smarter than us with this stuff probably can tell us, based on the color of that plug, what is going on with the motor. Alright, so just using some Briggs & Stratton. I picked this up off of Amazon typically. I buy the bigger jug, and it's good for several lawnmowers. Bought this last year. And as you know the rule, you do not want to overfill these things at all. You'll destroy them. You're better to be slightly under. This thing, because I feel like it runs hot, you want to make sure it's right up to the level. Yeah, so let's go for that newer plug. I just wouldn't mind inspecting both of those. It's about halfway. The good news is the oil that I pulled out of here, when I checked the oil before I pulled it out, it was clean. So like we're doing the right things to keep this thing going, but like I said, I wonder if there was some damage done to the internals because of the previous neglect. Go see. Yeah, these are like the same plug. You're right.
Yeah.
The gap looks the same. Yeah, hopefully this will.
Yeah. Toss her in.
Yeah.
This is probably the plug, the original plug.
Oh, I don't think it's the original plug 'cause it doesn't say Briggs & Stratton on it.
That's a good point, yeah.
I get nervous about overfilling and whatnot, so. That might be enough. And definitely, Eddie, if I'm not around, you go to mow the lawn for the first time, my advice is when you're done, is to check whatever mower you're using, check the oil level. This is like right up to the level, which means it might be just perfect because, alright, so I gotta put the filler screws back in, which I should imagine are these little ones. And again, the only reason it was so easy for me to take the filler off was because he had removed the screws because he replaced the top, the starter coil and string and whatnot. Alright, I should know, just need a small socket for that. Already. Thank you. So really the last, you know what I should have done, dumb me, is I shouldn't have filled the oil up until I took the blade off, because I gotta tilt the lawnmower on the side, and it's just like one less thing to stir up. But because when we tilt it on its side, it will inevitably be a mess. Oh, I did it again. See where that went? It's over the side. I dropped it because I'm wearing these slippery gloves.
Or you didn't put it all the way on the thing.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Here you go. Oil level looks okay. Maybe slightly on the high side, but it's still settling down. So I think we're fine. All right, so we're gonna
Assuming we just throw out the old spark plug.
yeah, we can that.
Yeah.
Even if for some reason this plug's not the right plug, we should just replace that. Maybe wait till we run it. So one of the things I liked about this lawnmower, and I was happy to get it after I destroyed its predecessor, we had cut down some rhododendrons in the backyard, we just were overgrown. And I tend to use it, like this style mower, for like trimming in those areas and whatnot, and using like the Honda push mower and even the riding mower, like in areas that it's nice. And he'll use his vintage 85 Briggs & Stratton not to do those things either. So it's kind of what the task of this mower is and its predecessor. So that's how I ended up, that was kind of the whole point. I accidentally hit the stump from a roadie, and it bent to crank. I hit it just right. So while I was upset with myself, I wasn't angry, because if I was using the Honda or using his mower or something, that would have been more of a problem. So this came up for free, basically. It's now, I got it in 2020, so the fact that we got 5 years out of it, so it would mean this is like the 6th season with it, is pretty remarkable. But again, as we say this time every year, this could be it for it. All right, so what we're gonna do now is lower it, and I'm gonna tilt it on its side, which I like to do before I put the oil in, but so be it, I put the oil in. We're gonna take the blade off, and I'm gonna sharpen it with the grinder and check for balance, put it back on, and then we'll let it sit right side up for a little while, and then we'll give it the old heave ho and see how she sounds. All right, so let me just get this stuff out of the way here. I'll clean that pump up a little bit. Usually what I like to do with that pump is take it out in the gravel part of the driveway and then wipe it down, so if I drip, it's on the gravel. Alright, so, those of you who follow the channel know that I kinda have a method to my madness with taking off a blade. And if you've never taken off a blade before, it's really not that difficult. What you need it is a handyman's helper, a block of wood. So let's make sure that you can see what we're doing.
We get the grinder set up.
Yeah, so if you can actually pull that, actually, I'll bring the camera over to the, he's gonna set up the grinder, and I'm gonna try to take you guys along with me while I remove the blade. So what's gonna happen is, because I have oil in it, and I'm gonna tip this thing on its side, even with it sitting right side up, it's going to smoke when we start it, because oil gets exhaust, whatnot. Alright, so one block. Make sure that spark plug is still disconnected, not that I expect it to start on me. And then a large socket wrench, which we'll grab. And I always forget the size I'm working with. Okay, so no matter how hard you try to keep these things, where'd that one go?
Finishing.
All right,
Mom's
let's
car.
get that out today. Let's get that out today, please. I think, in fact, after you get the grinder out, if you want to go fishing for that, because I would like to put all that
It's
back.
in mom's car, so
It's here.
her mom's car too.
Her vehicle is here. All right, so you guys can see what I'm doing, hopefully. I think I have the right size socket. So just doing this again. Sometimes I do this out in the lawn. All right. So note what this is too big. I was gonna say, note what side the blade is, because that's usually a common mistake people make. Let's grab a few sockets here. That's a common mistake where people will put the blade on upside down. It can happen to anyone, of course. But just if you're paying attention, all should be okay. So this one is a 15 millimeter. Okay. Okay, so the block of wood goes where the blade will hit, otherwise the blade will just spin and then like it's doing here. And what you want to do is put your foot on the block of wood and okay. This one's on there. I probably put it on, which I have a tendency of going a little crazy. There we go. At least it stays secure. Also, when you're under here, you should inspect the bottom. Now this is in pretty good shape, and the reason being is when we get done mowing the lawn, most of the time we just don't stick it back in the garage. What we do is, if it's a day where the grass is pretty like dry, you know, we use a leaf blower and just blow off everything. But if it's got damper grass that clumps a little bit, we use the hose, lightly hose the top of the lawnmower, and then blast underneath, and it keeps this stuff at bay. Now note your washers. These washers here are between the bolt, the head of the bolt and the blade. So we're just gonna leave that there. And a trick for knowing what side the blade is. So this you can see outlines the spacer, so you know that lines up there, right? And there is something, looks like a marking here, so I can also make a mental note and say, hopefully this is all on camera. I can make a mental note and say, oh yeah, that's the grass side, that's the lawnmower side. Now, we should also check over here. What I'm gonna do is, while we are working on this, we'll get a chance to settle back down again. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is move everything back over here. Okay. This might be kind of a cool angle. All right, my tools. So what we were just talking about is, this is magically was missing from my set, and it was in his mother's car since the fall, to put on the bicycle rack for Eddie's mountain bike. And it's fine, because we all know where it is, but you know what's going to happen. She won't be around, and that will be the day I need that socket wrench and the socket, right? So let's just, if we're not using it, I think because he had mountain biking at least once a week. So if he's not using it regularly, let's just put it away. It's kind of like my rule. Okay. All right, so this I got, I think 2 or 3 years ago. It has made life easier versus using, I would use either a drill and or a file, which made life a little bit longer. I am looking for safety glasses. Do you see any safety glasses? When at the condo location, oh, perfect. I think these came from the condo location. I might have brought these.
It's a little wet.
Why would they be wet?
Oh, so.
Sorry, since I'm wearing work clothes, I call them play clothes. Work clothes is like you sit in the office and put work clothes on, but. All right, so you have me plugged in?
Yep.
All right, I'm blurry out the one eye.
Want to leave it in or no?
That's fine. Okay. So this grinder, Craftsman, man, can you do me a favor and just take these into the sink and just like clean them? 'Cause I can't see out my right eye because I'm all blurry. So I'll talk about the grinder for a second. This is a Craftsman brand. I think at some point I did a checkout video on this on the channel. After I got it or whatever last year, so a while after I got it, and I really primarily only use it for this, but we do have some like saws and knives and things. I wouldn't even say we really have knives, but like he has a Swiss Army knife and he has a couple little things like that. It's really tiny knives. He's a kid, and I suppose you could use it for that, but really, I asked for this. I got this as a gift just for the primary purpose of sharpening blades, because we were doing so many lawnmowers, and we also, now that we haven't really flipped a lawnmower in a long time, but we just have enough of our own that it just makes sense. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. It should be very clear. now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's like something sprayed. Oh yeah, I can see. Before I can see. All right, so this does have lights.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so this has like little LED lights. I mean, it don't really make much of a difference, and it has the protective. So another layer. Always, because these are hot metal sparks. They'll burn your eye out. You do feel them bounce off your face a little bit, and on a day where I might be wearing short sleeves, they bounce off your arms. It just feels like a little tickle. It doesn't really bother you. All right, so, all right, here we go. So that hits up. All right, if that goes there, okay. Here we go. should have, just for fun, checked the balance before I even did this, but this blade is actually in excellent shape. So it doesn't need much. Probably because like I don't have to kill myself using a file or like the little thing that goes on the end of the drill, which like, if you have an out of balance blade, oh, it's brutal. It's brutal with that. Alright, so I'm gonna get a surefire way. Yeah, that looks pretty good. This blade's in really good shape. A surefire way. Check this. Money. Let me just see here. Pretty good. So this thing must have been in good shape to begin with. So I'm just, let me get a, this is not round. Do we have one that's round? Yeah, here's a round one. This is the moment of truth, when it's round. What was the word I used before?
What?
Money. I wanted you to say it, money. Okay, we're good. That was easy. I knew from the second I looked at the blade that it wouldn't be a problem. So this was really nice. So this will go back on. And you know what, let me just, that will go back on. Actually, no, we're good. Good. All right. Remove the safety glasses. So you have me facing down here again.
Yeah.
Adjust me.
Once you tip the lawnmower over, I'll get you better adjusted.
All right. So we got our blade. We got our balance blade. We will upsy daisy. My metal block, handyman helper. This block, I probably talk about in every video that it appears, has been like around for a long time. It was a scrap wood from doing the deck, and for what we're doing here, it has been used many times and other various projects for similar reasons. Okay, so remember, pay attention. So this matches there because that protects it, so the bare metal, and that whatever digit or something somebody wrote or it was stamped there. Our washers, I didn't touch this, so the washers are on the head. So we will just screw this in. Now some of these blades, when you do this, they have a tendency to drift off the, what do you call it, the spacer or whatever the heck this thing is. So you have to really make sure that this is all lined, but actually this will line up as it bolts down because there's these like little notches or bolts in there. There we go. You might not be able to see on camera, but where these two openings are, there's these two heads almost like bolts. And that keeps it from when you're cranking it from the blade spinning off the shaft or like just like not being aligned. So what I try to do is get it as good as I can, like this. And then when we do the reverse, we put my foot. Put my foot here, and then just give it the old crank-a-room. So I have a tendency, I'm a strong guy, and I have a tendency to really bear down on these things. That's probably why I'm so tight when I took it off. All right, really quick, while that's like that, I just want to do a quick little scrapage. I have a wire brush. This thing is in really good shape, but while we're here, it would have been better to do it with the lid off, but it didn't happen that way. But because it's not a big deal, this will help protect you from rust. So this lawnmower is easily gotta be 10 years old. Again, I have to look at the date code on the tag. Alright. So this, my friends, is done. So what we're gonna do is let it sit for a little bit because it's been flipped on its head a few times. So we're gonna let it sit. We're gonna kind of clean up the workshop a bit.
Oh, a few drops of oil came out, or whatever came out.
Okay, that's okay. It probably came out the muffler. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're going to let him sit, and then we will give him a crank, let it get up to speed, turn it off, check the oil, and call it a day. So we'll be right back. Okay, so we ran an errand at the hardware store unrelated to this. So the lawnmower sat for a while. We had to make it a little adjustment to the blade. So we're gonna start it up. Is the spark plug on?
Yeah, no. Be a good idea though.
Yeah, it's very common. And the thing with the spark plug facing the other way, if you're by yourself, and you could be pulling and pulling and pulling, and not like because you don't see it. No, let it run. Let it run.
Oh, okay.
Just see. For that long, but it sounds good. So what had happened previously is the blade, like there's two little notches that the blade aligns with on either side of the bolt on the bottom of the shaft. For some reason, it broke loose of that. Now, when I tightened it on camera before, it was all lined up. So when we went to start it previously off camera, you could just hear the blade hitting the frame. So we immediately killed it, looked underneath, and it was off kilter. So what we should do is you want to pull the lawnmower up so I can just take a peek. Oh, it's totally fine. It's totally aligned. Great, that's awesome. So we're good to go. We're just gonna do a quick oil check, which you should do off camera, or not off camera, after you run it like that. Do you want to grab the just that rag that we use? We can do that right here. And then yeah, this cover looks much nicer than the one that's on there, and like I talked about, we didn't even have to paint it. All right.
Bring my cools down, get the oil off the.
Yeah, you wanna just like swipe that. There's probably oil all over the dipstick because again, this thing was on its side again. Just a few, like maybe 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. Yeah, it has to sit. Like, let's see, it's all over the place here. All right, so we'll just let that sit, and we'll check the oil probably off camera, but that's always recommended after you change the oil. Run it, get it up to temperature, check the oil. When we initially let it sit, after we had it on its side, it was probably sat for a good half hour, 40 minutes. And then when we started it and that blade hit, I turned it over, adjusted the blade again, and then I went in and went inside for like 15 minutes, came out. I usually like to let it sit for a half hour. So that's why we had excess smoke and everything coming out. But I think we should be good to go. So if you haven't, like, subscribe, comment. Hey, we're not experts here, but we've definitely done enough of these to know our way around them and kind of know the idiosyncrasies with them. But certainly if there's any shortcuts or tricks that you want to comment, feel free to add that, as well as if you have any questions, certainly let us know. Subscribe, like, comment, and we'll see you on the next one.